Hi, I'm Corey.
And I'm Kirsten.
And today, we're going to play Follow the Leader.
We thought it'd be a great way to explore the Toledo Zoo.
Whoever's the leader tries to find us places we've never been before.
And the rest of us follow along and try to do exactly what the leader does.
Come on. So now, the only thing left to decide is who's the leader first.
That's easy. I'm the leader. Come on.
Hey, hold up.
Follow me. It's time to play.
So join the fun on Zoo today.
We're following the leader, the leader, the leader.
Kirsten, why do you get to be the leader?
Because you always get us lost. And because I talk faster.
So?
So you better do what I tell you to, or I'll tell you a really long story about my last shopping trip.
Hey, those are some good reasons. Onward, oh fearless leader.
Following the...
So, Lori, this is the biggest tank in the aquarium?
Yes, it is. This is our 8,000-gallon South American tank. All the animals that are in here are South American species.
It's a beautifully clear tank, crystal clear water. I can see all the way to the back of it. Is it hard to keep a tank this big so clean?
No, it's not. We have a couple filtration systems on this tank, and also we have to scrub it to keep the algae off the glass and the walls. I can show you around back and show you the different filters.
Yeah, I'd really like to see behind the scenes.
Okay.
So this is the behind the scenes portion of the aquarium. It's nice the way the floor is elevated back here, so you're up above the tanks.
Makes it a lot easier to feed and clean the tanks.
Yeah, you get a whole different perspective back here. Well, let's take a look at this big 8,000-gallon
This is our largest tank, fresh water.
Well, that's quite a slimy seafood mess in there, Lori. What is all of that?
Yes, it is. It's different types of food that we feed to the building. We have some herring and some smelt, some squid, and some shrimp. That's our main feeds for the larger fish.
Wow. And how often do you do this?
We do a main feed twice a week. One of the fun things about showing people back here is to show them how this tank feeds. And that's one of the more exciting things that I normally scare a lot of children with. Or surprise them, I guess. What it is
what are they doing?
Those are the arapamos. These are one of the largest freshwater fish in the world. What they're doing is they have very large mouths, and they open it very quickly to get as much food as possible. And what they're doing is they're popping the air, and that's what's making that noise. They're coming up, and they want the food, and they're taking in air at the same time, and that's what causes the noise and the splash.
So that's just a giant sucking sound of them sucking
yes,
the fish
it is,
in.
yep.
Wow. Now, they seem like the most forward of the fish here. Do they get it all? Are they going to get it all? Or do you
well, what we have to do is go out onto this ladder here, and basically we have to chum the waters so that everybody gets some. We throw in a whole lot at a time.
Okay, so when you chum the water, you're just throwing in large handfuls, and they can't...
Large handfuls of different sizes so that everyone, even the smaller fish, get a chance to get some of it.
I see, yeah, it's all floating down to the bottom, so one fish can't possibly eat all of that at the same time.
We also try to throw big amounts to the arapamas, the larger feeders, right away. It looks like too much, but we have to throw in enough so that some of the fish gets to the bottom of the tank. And because we have a stingray in there, and that's a bottom feeder. And so that's the best way for us to feed this tank is to chum the water.
So when you're cleaning, you go all the way around this with that thing and clean the glass?
There's two different ways to clean this tank. We can get inside and do a real thorough job, which we do occasionally. But normally, yeah, we just use this long-handled pole with the doodle bug that's attached on the end. And that helps to get all the algae off the glass and the walls.
Yeah, Lori, I've seen people in the tank diving. Is that another way to feed them?
That's not the normal way that we feed them. Actually, that's in case if we have to medicate one of the animals, or in a way we do it for show, show the public just how we can get in there with the animals. But normally, this is the way that we feed, by going out on the ladder and throwing all the food in at once so that everyone gets something.
Well, Lori, tell me about the filtration. You mentioned you have 2 different filters on this tank.
Yes, this is one of the filtration systems that we have. This is basically just a normal kind of pool filter that you put on your home swimming pool.
Wow, this is really interesting down here. What a huge tank of water you have in the basement.
Yeah, actually this is what we call our reservoir. This is where the water comes from. What we have right here is our heater. This heats the water.
This is a heating unit?
Yes, it is. It's just like what you'd use on a swimming pool. Again, it does a fantastic job. It heats this water up to about 85 degrees, which is what we need for these animals because they're from South America, and it's a much warmer climate there, so their water needs to be higher temperature.
Kirsten, wait. Can we stop for a while?
What's the matter? Can't you keep up?
No. I'm seeing spots before my eyes.
Yeah, me too. But these spots belong to some pretty wild cats, and Sharon has the inside scoop.
Steve, these 2 animals seem to be the most confused with other big cats on the zoo grounds. I mean, I know from just me walking by, I've heard people call them a jaguar, a panther, cheetah, even a tiger. But these are actually leopards.
They're confused the most with other animals in
Other
their
big cats.
family, of the big cats.
Okay.
Yeah, and leopards are the most widespread of the cats in the world. They range throughout Africa and also in some parts of Asia. The ones we have here are the African breed, or they're the most common. We have the spotted, well, you can see the one with the spots, he's the male, and the one with the black one in the background. And you can see her spots in the sun when it hits her just right. That's a melanistic trait, it's called, and she has recessive genes for the black color. And that's pretty common in leopards, and it's found a lot more in the forested and jungle areas and the mountain areas, and more in Asia than in Africa. But it's fairly common, and it seems to work well for them because they will hunt at night or in the day, and they'll go after almost anything they can take down. Small birds and small mammals mainly, and they compete with lions and Asia tigers.
Steve, I was just reading over on the graphics next to the exhibit that these animals spend most of their time up in the trees. So do they here at the zoo spend most of their time up in the trees or on the ground?
Well, they used to spend a lot of time in the trees, especially the black leopard, Susie. We had a log that went up the side of the tree, and you can see it's on the ground now. She's getting a little older, and she started getting stuck up there. She was afraid to come down, so she'd have to drop and kind of fall, catch herself. And both these cats are pretty old, and so we cut that down, and we hope to build a platform system that these guys can get up on fairly easily. And if we do, they'll spend much of the time up there sleeping, and they really enjoy being up high.
Can you give some helpful hints to people how they can tell the difference between, like, say, a cheetah and a leopard?
Well, a cheetah is much taller, or somewhat taller, and much longer legs, more slender body, more slender legs, a longer neck. They have their claws, if you can get a close look at them, look more like a dog than a cat. They don't, when they get older, they don't retract. On a cheetah, they don't retract. On a leopard has claws like you would see on a house cat. They're very powerful claws and sharp claws. That's what they use to climb the trees, of course. If you look at their spots, on a leopard, in the back spots, the larger spots, there's a rosette pattern around a smaller center dot. And on the cheetahs, they're just solid dots. So you can tell, just by looking at the spots, you can tell that way.
And then what about, like, a panther or a jaguar versus the black leopard?
Well, a panther is a confusing term. It's a term that zoologists have been trying to do away with for a long time, because a panther has actually been used for jaguars, leopards, and here in the United States, what we have here in the United States are pumas, or cougars, are called panthers also. So it's really confusing. And also, some people think that panther is another species, like the black panther, when actually it is the melanistic trait of that animal with the black pigment. It's a recessive gene trait, and it's found also in jaguars fairly commonly. So the panther is not a good term to use because it's confused with other animals. So where cheetahs are built for fast speeds, running speeds, these guys are built for stealth, for hunting, for climbing and working their way up on the prey. So they're very, very good at that.
So cheetah's body is made for running. These guys are made for climbing.
Yes, basically. They sneak up on their prey and they pounce. So speeds, long-range speed isn't as important as it is in the cheetah.
Do you know that animals use many different breathing techniques to stay underwater?
Well, I know I can hold my breath a long time.
Yeah, but crocodiles can hold their breath underwater from 45 minutes to an hour. Some scientists think crocodiles actually swallow stones for ballast, which makes them heavier so they can stay underwater.
Alligators can stay underwater even longer than crocodiles. During the winter, alligators might breathe only a few times a day.
Ooh, I know another one. Elephants are excellent swimmers. They are often totally submerged under the water and use their long trunks as a snorkel to breathe out of. They can swim for a long time and for great distances.
How about an octopus? The octopus gets oxygen from the water through gills, like a fish. But it also absorbs oxygen right through its skin as it glides through the water. Imagine being able to breathe right through your skin.
You may have heard something,
but I bet you didn't know. So now that you're the leader, where are you taking us?
to the Avies building.
The Avies building? Oh, the birdhouse, where all the nests are being built.
Right. And Doug is gonna show us some clever detective work, strictly for the birds.
I knew he'd say that.
Well, Vicki, the birdhouse is always active and noisy, but it seems particularly noisy this morning.
That's because everybody's busy nesting.
Ah, well, that might be fun to take a look at some of the nests.
Let's take a look at some of the nests and see what some of the keepers are up to, too.
Okay. It's pretty warm in here today, Vicki. Is that the way we like to keep it? Do the birds like it warm?
It's fairly normal for the birdhouse to be between 80 and 90 degrees. We have to provide a variety of different type of nests for some of the birds because they won't build their own. Usually our rule is we provide 2 nests for every pair of birds. Nesting season, the keepers have to become detectives and try and figure out what type of nest the birds would prefer in the wild and then provide something similar to it in captivity so that they'll use it and lay their eggs in it and feel comfortable.
In this cage, I don't even see a nest.
Actually, the nest is somewhat disguised. If you look, there's a log in the back. That's a palm log. Around the back of that log, we have a hole that they can go in and out of. There is a little depression inside the log.
Well, this is an interesting pile of debris out in the hallway of the birdhouse. What are we doing here?
All this actually has a purpose. We're renovating 4 of the exhibits right now. We're just cleaning them out.
So a cavity nester then nests inside a hollow tree.
Some birds we can fake out better than others. They'll use a little box that's fabricated as long as it's dark and just has one entrance hole.
Now here's another cage that I don't see any kind of a nesting structure in.
Well, sometimes you have to look pretty closely. We try and disguise the nest. This one, if you look up in the top back of the exhibit, there's a hole through the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And on the back of the cage exhibit, we have a nest box mounted so they can go in and out. And it's easier for us to check the nest without actually having to go in with the birds.
Well, that's pretty neat. And these obviously are cavity nesters then.
Another cavity nester.
Is
You're
that
learning.
yeah, I'm learning these things. The white-headed buffalo weavers are known for building some very interesting nests. Is that what that big pile of grass is there?
Yes, in the wild, the weavers construct weave nests out of grasses. And like you said, they're quite elaborate. Doug, do you see that little structure there?
Yeah, that little wire basket.
It's a wire basket, and the keepers will put grasses, and we use llama hair and all sorts of fine materials that the birds will pick out and take up to their nest site. That's the crested wood partridge's nest, and they build it on their own. All we do is provide the grasses, and it's kind of a big mound with a hole through the side, and the female actually goes in there and lays her eggs. But the male we have breaks the eggs pretty shortly after she lays them.
Why does the male break the egg?
Now, that sometimes happens with birds. Until they get used to nesting, they'll break the eggs. They don't know what these strange objects are. Sometimes we'll give them dummy eggs or wooden eggs that they can haul around and peck, and then once they see they don't break them, they'll leave their own eggs alone. This is actually the material we use for to give the birds for the nestings. This is llama hair that's been disinfected, and then you get some commercial products, Nest Aid, which is just fine fibrous material. You can see if we go down in here, there's all sorts of colored threads and things that birds can use for to put in their nest.
Wait a minute. What? You don't have to knock before you go in there, do you?
Well, it's not like we're asking permission, but we do tap on the back of the doors in case there's a bird sitting right by the door. We don't startle them, and also kind of warn them that we're coming in.
So they know when somebody knocks on this door that the door's going to open in a few minutes.
And usually it means food. Oh, we're going to just have to watch this thrush. It got out last week. We provide a lot of nests in the big flights, and if you'll notice, if you look closely in the trees, there's usually 2 or 3 nests in every tree. It just looks like a little scrape into a ground. That's actually a nest, and that's for the double-striped thicknees. They don't build anything more elaborate than just a little scrape in the ground, which the birds lay their eggs in. That's a red-crested cardinal female. They've been nesting in a covered nest in the tree, and you can see she's taking more nesting material up. This is the crane nest, as big and elaborate as it is.
That little pile of sticks on the ground is it?
That's it. They'll just lay 1 or 2 eggs.
So they'll lay an egg in
incubate.
that and sit on them and incubate them, huh?
He is threatening us because we are near his nest site. You can see him, when cranes threaten you, they'll preen their feathers. He's sticking his wings out to make himself look larger. This is the lesser green broadbills, and that's a female that's in the nest right now. And one of our keepers is actually, Terry has actually macrameed a nest for the birds.
This is a macrame nest?
It's a macrame nest. These birds are very rare in captivity, and this is the only second female in the country that is nested. So we're excited.
Hi, I'm Michelle. Hey, over here, you big ape. I'm Michelle, and these are big apes. They're big because you should see what all they eat. Get this, an average meal for 1 chimpanzee includes 2 oranges, 2 apples, kiwi, grapefruit, half a pear, a third of a peach, 2 bananas, grapes, and a 3-inch wedge of melon, plus 2 handfuls of green beans, 1 carrot, half a green pepper, some cucumber, eggplant, tomato, a third of a yam, broccoli, 2 scallions, ew, onion breath, a handful of leaf lettuce, and a 5-inch wedge of rutabaga. I could have had a V8. Besides all this, each chimp gets 2 cups of monkey chow, kind of like nutritious dog food for apes. And get this, monkey biscuits, plus 2 cups of Cheerios, and 1 cup of Crystal Light fruit juice, frozen with real fruit and raisins in it. I don't even eat this well. And finally, 4 cups of air pop popcorn, for when they kick back to watch a movie, I guess. Multiply that by 3 chimps, and it's like feeding a small army. Michelle and the chimps putting on the feed bag.
Kirsten,
Now what?
If there was ever a reason to be proud of our very own Toledo Zoo, it's because of this place.
The reptile house and the ingenious herpetologists who work inside.
Exactly. You know, they saved the day for these tiny toads at Kirsten. Kirsten! This is follow the leader, not hide and go seek.
You're looking at one of the rarest and most critically endangered animals in the world, the Wyoming toad. There are less than 100 of these guys in the world. The Toledo Zoo is one of several zoos given the awesome responsibility of trying to save them from extinction. Wyoming toads have a unique habit of toe tapping when they're about to feed. This is either a way of luring crickets out of hiding or warning to other toads as if to say, "Stay away, these are my crickets." Watch this toad eyeing a cricket. Got him! Recently, the future of these critically endangered toads took a happy turn for the better, thanks to some pretty smart zookeepers.
Well, actually, this is what we call our tododome. This is a special breeding chamber that we've designed for our Wyoming toads, the rare Wyoming toads. We got a number of them in as tadpoles, and now we've raised them up, and we're going to try and breed them. You getting a little wet there?
Just a little. That's okay.
These animals have a reproductive cycle that includes them breeding during the warm, rainy nights of the springtime. And so we've set up this hose here to kind of simulate a warm, rainy night. Another thing that we're hoping will stimulate them to breed is we're playing toad calls. We'll play to them. It's quite loud.
And that is actually their mating call?
That's the mating call. That's the call that the males will give to attract the females to the water.
So you just have one male and one female in here.
We have one male and one female in here.
And were you the one that actually designed and constructed this contraption here?
Yeah, this was done in department. Andy Odom, our curator, and I worked pretty hard on designing. Okay, here we are back at the Tododome a week later, and our Tododome worked. We have eggs and even some developing little tadpoles. We're actually very happy about this. This is a great breakthrough for the species. This is an animal that is very critically endangered, and you can see a string of eggs here. And it's really just a string of jelly with each one of these little black dots is an egg. And the longer ones, you can see a lot of them there on the floor of the tank, are the actual developing tadpoles. There's one that's about ready to hatch. As they hatch, they kind of fall down to the floor of this tank. And they'll remain there on the bottom of this tank for several days. They're still developing. They don't even have gills. Their heart is probably just beginning to beat. And they'll lay here on the floor of the tank for several days. And then as they get further along in their development, they'll turn into little tadpoles, and we'll see them swimming around here. There's probably about 140 of these little dots in here that are made to grow up to be tadpoles and eventually Wyoming toads. And this female, probably in this breeding, she laid somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 eggs.
Where in the world are we now?
Wyoming.
Oh, this is a very, very special day for all the world, the universe, and all toads everywhere.
Yes, this is a day our very own Toledo Zoo Wyoming toad babies are released into the wild. There they go.
Until now, Wyoming toads were extinct in the wild. Not a one could be found anywhere.
And now the tadpoles are being released back into their home lakes in Wyoming to start a new life. 168 Toledo Zoo tadpoles to be exact.
For the first time in many, many years, Wyoming toads can be found in the world again. Our zookeepers are heroes. Hooray! Here's this week's cool critter question from Christian Stewart of Toledo and Antoinette LaDonna Chapman of Lincoln Park, Michigan.
They write, what do the animals do in the winter?
Here's your answer, kids.
Thank you for your question, Antoinette and Christian. Almost all the animals at the Toledo Zoo live here year-round, and most do surprisingly well in winter. The lions have a heated rock to lie on, the cheetahs and the wallabies have heated shelters that they can go inside, and the polar bears and snow leopards, well, the colder the better as far as they're concerned. Some of our animals do move inside in winter, but you can still see the apes, giraffes, and elephants in their heated quarters. Actually, the winter is a wonderful time to come to the zoo and well worth a visit. Thank you for your question, Antoinette and Christian.
Remember, kids, send us a letter with your question and address it to Zoo Today, Cool Critter Questions, P.O. Box 4010, Toledo, Ohio, 43609.
We'll choose one question each week and have it answered by an authority at the zoo.
We love hearing from you, so send us your questions today. Great day at the zoo, huh, Kirsten?
Absolutely. The keepers were great, the animals were amazing, and I was the best leader.
Yes, the animals were great. Wait a minute. I was the best leader.
You got lost again.
No, I didn't get lost. You just didn't follow me. Goodness.
You know what? Probably at home, they probably call you Mr. Space Cadet.
No, it's Captain Corey.
Oh, sure, Captain Corey. You know, you couldn't get us to that garbage can.
Oh, I bet you I could.
Bet
Because I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, look, we just passed it. You're stupid, that one.
I didn't say I was